Hi guys, I would like to introduce a new application, a graphical installer for EasyOS. Now you will be familiar, if you have watched these videos, or at least some of them, that you can write EasyOS to a USB stick. And that is what I recommend to start doing first, so you get familiar with EasyOS. If we look on the internet, there we go, internet, on my YouTube channel, which is you are looking at that now, youtube.com at Barry Caller Videos. Okay, and if you look down to number 3, part 3, that's where I have explained how to write the EasyOS drive image file to a flash drive or flash stick. And then in part 4 I've explained how you can boot up your computer from that flash stick. So you'll be running EasyOS. So what you will be seeing now, this will be EasyOS running on a USB drive. Okay, and you can then become familiar with EasyOS, and if you decide you like it and you decide you'd like to have it permanently on your hard drive, that's where this new graphical installer can be used. Now there are explanations on the internet. This website, for example, there's a few of them there. If you go to easyos.org, as you can see the pointer there, there are a few explanations on how you can install EasyOS to the hard drive, and it's quite okay doing it manually. But the graphical installer is intended to make it just that little bit easier. Okay. However, there's a big however to all of this. You've got to do some preparatory work in Linux, in Windows first. In Windows first. The thing is, if your computer is running Windows, then Windows is occupying the entire hard drive, the internal drive. If your computer is capable of installing another hard drive, then that's good. You could use that. But if you cannot do that, okay, then you're going to have to make some space on that hard drive. Okay, so preparation is required, and that has to be done from within Windows. Now I've made up a little checklist. This website, incidentally, that you're looking at here, if you go to easyos.org, you'll see the link to this Prepare Your Computer for Booting Linux. That's just one example of a tutorial that I've created, and it explains some of the things that you have to do within Windows. One of the main things that you have to do is turn off fast startup. It explains it here. I do need to update this information because this was for Windows 8. Some of the steps are just slightly different in Windows 10 and Windows 11. Okay, but the same principle. Okay, so you turn off fast startup. That's very important. The reason is that Windows does not quite shut down properly when you power off, and that can upset if you install Linux, it will upset the booting of Windows. Okay. Another thing to do is, that's afterwards. Okay, well, that's afterwards. Okay, I don't think there's anything much else to say there. Oh yes, here we go. This is explaining another thing you have to do in Windows is create space on the drive. Okay, because Windows has occupied the entire drive, and there's a picture here that shows you've got the C drive. That's the main one that has Windows, and that's the one you'll most likely have to shrink. And when you shrink that, it will then create free space on the drive, and you can then use the drive to that free space on the drive to install Linux. So that's something you have to do in Windows. You can't do it even though Linux does have a partitioning tools. It does have something called gparted, which can do the job, but then it will upset Windows. Windows itself has to do it. Okay, so you've got to do it within Windows using the Windows disk partitioning tool. What I've done here is I've written down a little checklist, things that you have to do in Windows. Okay, I plan to update the instructions. One of the problems is that recent releases of Windows in modern computers have by default got BitLocker enabled. This is drive encryption. That also causes a problem. You've got to turn that off. Well, I'm not 100% certain that you have to turn it off because I don't have any Windows that has BitLocker. In fact, I've only got one laptop left that has Windows installed. I've only got 2 laptops currently, and one of them does not have Windows and one does. So I don't have much experience with BitLocker. Well, I don't have any experience, okay? But from what I've read, you're supposed to turn it off. That decrypts the drive. You can turn it on again afterwards, after you've installed Linux, okay? So the best advice I've got at the moment is turn it off. Then you do that from within Windows, okay? Defragment the C drive, then shrink the C drive, and then turn off fast startup. Now you can look up all of those things on, just Google them, and you can find the information how to do all those things. Although I do intend to update my tutorials to explain each of these things on the checklist. Then shut down. After you've done all of that, shut down, and make sure you shut down fully. Don't go into any hibernation or sleep mode or anything. Shut down fully power off. And then with your USB stick plugged in with EasyOS on it, you push a special hotkey and you can choose to boot up EasyOS. And then you're off and running in EasyOS, and you can in fact keep using EasyOS indefinitely. It's on a USB stick, it's fine. But if you do eventually decide, yes, I want this on my hard drive permanently, you can install it in such a way that it will dual boot with Windows. So there'll be a menu at startup where you can choose, I want to run Windows or I want to run EasyOS. Okay, so Windows will still be there as an option at boot up. Okay. Alright, that's all those things. Now, what I've got plugged in here is just a USB stick. I wanted to show how to install to an internal hard drive, but I don't want to mess around with this laptop. I've already got it set up in a certain way that I like, and I don't want to install anything internally at the moment. So I'm just going to pretend, we will pretend that this USB drive is in fact an internal drive. We can just pretend that, okay. Now let's go and have a look at, use GParted, which is here in the menu, and have a look at that USB drive. Okay. And there it is. That's showing the layout of the partitions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that this has got Windows installed in it here. If you look there, it's got an NTFS file system, which is what Windows uses. So that's that. Windows is there. And here, a FAT32 file system. And that is what Windows also uses for the boot drive, the boot up drive. That's this one just over here. Okay, so we pretend that's a Windows hard drive, and inside Windows we have gone and we have reduced the size of the C drive and made this free space. So here it is. Here's a whole lot of free space, and this is where we will install Linux. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, let's do it. I'm going to run Easy Installer from a terminal. Although it will be in the menu, it will be in the in fact I've already got it in the menu, I think, somewhere. Set up. Yeah, I've already got it in the menu, EasyOS Installer, but let's run it from the terminal. Because it's a work in progress, I've spent many nights recently burning the midnight oil creating this installer, and it really was going down a rabbit hole, some of the complexities of it, but anyway. The next release of EasyOS, which will be 7.4.5, will have the installer, but I'm going to restrict it mostly to people who are developers willing to experiment, just in case we have issues. Well, we probably will have issues, and then maybe by the time we get to 7.4.6 we will have discovered any strange issues, and the installer should be working nicely. It's working for me at the moment, but I'm sure there are going to be corner cases where there might be issues. So let's do easy-installer, okay, and run it. Okay, I'll just put that away. Here we go. Welcome to the installer. Now, there's two options. You can install to an entire drive, okay. That will wipe everything on the drive, and it will just be EasyOS. But where we want to install it just in a partition, coexisting whatever is already there, which will be Windows in our case, we would choose this what we call frugal mode. And just for convenience, there's a little summary of each of the drives that it has found. Okay, showing the layout of the partitions as they are physically laid out on the drive. This is very convenient just to get a mental picture of where everything is on the drive. So for example, the one we're interested in here, the SDB, which is our USB flash drive that we're going to install to, which we are pretending is an internal drive. It has a 1 megabyte free space. Then it has the boot partition, which is FAT32, which is 134 megabytes. These are rounded off figures. And then a big NTFS partition where Windows is installed. We are pretending anyway. And then the free space. Okay. Now, all right, and here we have drop-down lists where we can choose. Okay, let's pull that up a little bit there. We can choose what our new installation is going to have for the boot partition and the working partition. So we will have a boot partition. Okay, it is possible to choose the same boot partition as Windows and share the same boot partition. Yeah, it's possible. But you can also create a separate partition. This will be a FAT partition. So let's do that. So in that unallocated space, same unallocated space that is in that SDB drive. So we'll choose that. And we'll choose the same unallocated space for the working partition. So it's going to create two partitions. Let's just surge ahead and do it. Okay, let's surge ahead and do it. Okay. He wants the size for the FAT boot partition. Well, that depends. If you're quite knowledgeable about this, you would have an idea what to choose. Let's just 48 megabytes. Okay, and sanity check, yes, we'll go ahead. And it goes through a whole lot of stuff. For those who are interested in the technical details, it's quite interesting just to watch what's happening. Otherwise, just let it all go past. It asks if you want to create a swap partition. Because it was unable to detect any swap partition on this computer. That's an interesting topic actually. You do not necessarily need a swap partition, and I do not have one. It becomes a little bit more important when your computer has very little RAM. Like if you've only got 2 gigabytes of RAM on your computer, even 4 gigabytes, then a swap partition is recommended. And a 2 gigabyte swap partition is usually enough, so I'll just accept that. We could make that variable in the future, but for now, we'll just do that, okay? Okay, now we're going to just okay on all of that. And it's giving you a summary as it's going along, what it's creating. Okay. Okay, swap partition, okay, yep, we're okay with that as well. So just accept the defaults, and then you'll be fine. So if all of this is double Dutch, it doesn't matter. Just accept everything, and then it says script closed. Close the window. Okay. Script finished rather. Close the window. All right, but we're not finished yet. We close the window, yes, and now it's going to do the actual installation. The two partitions have been created, and now it's going to populate them. So it's installing the LimeMine bootloader. As you can see, it's installing the LimeMine bootloader into the boot partition. Now, for the LimeMine bootloader, it can recognize anything else that's already installed on the computer. That's what's happening here. So it's asking, do you want to include all these other operating systems that it has found on the computer in the boot menu? Which is a good idea too. So then it gives you the option of running any one of these that it has found. So we just check everything, yep. It found Windows as well. Then generate the menu. Okay, and then looking back on here, do you see down the bottom here? If you want to take a snapshot clone of the currently running EasyOS, press enter. Now what that means is that if you wanted, let's say this USB drive, you've been using it for a while and you've got it all set up nicely. You've got bookmarks in your browser and passwords and history, and you've set your network up, your audio and everything. If you want to retain all of that setup, even installed applications as well, you want to retain that, what you can do is take a snapshot or clone of your current system and copy that to your new installation. Okay, this is a pretty handy thing to do. or you might want to just start fresh, whatever. So let's just say yes, though. Let's do it, okay? Let's not bother to read all these details. We'll just say yes, we want to create it. Okay, yep, don't worry about the details. You can read those later if you want to. And then it asks you what things you want to have in this clone, okay, or this snapshot. And you tick whatever you want, okay? There's all sorts of things. You installed fat packs or app images or whatever. Browser history is a good one. There we go, browser bookmarks, etc. Yep. So let's just do all of that, okay? And you've got to have a fair amount of free space in your flash drive as well for all this processing. Okay, create. Okay. Notice there's a little warning message there about the clone process. That's a little thing that's I need to have a look at. It's a minor detail. Now what it's doing now is it's creating a file. See down the bottom here? It's going to create a file called EasyClone. And that is what we call a tarball. It's just everything's packed into one file. Okay. So please wait, it takes a while. There's put a lot of stuff has gone into that EasyClone file. Now what's going to happen with that EasyClone file is it will be copied to the new installation, and then when you boot up the new installation in your hard drive, that file, the existence of that file will be recognized and it will then be unpacked. Okay, all right, so let's not worry about too much about that. Details, just details. Okay, enter to continue down the bottom there. Okay, it's saying down the bottom here, success. Frugal install completed. EasyOS has been installed to this partition, SDB5. The Limine bootloader has been installed to SDB3. And UEFI firmware has been set up to boot Limine. Just reboot and EasyOS will start. So if you shut down and unplug the USB stick and then you boot up, then it should start Limine. Okay, it should start the Limine bootloader. If it doesn't, if it still wants to choose the Windows bootloader, just go into the setup, so you push a hotkey and it goes into the setup, and you can choose the Limine bootloader and make that the default. Okay, anyway, let's close the window. Yep. Now it's all done, and it's been, there's the USB stick now. It's got more partitions, as you can see. Let's just have a look using gparted, hold on, system, gparted, and SDB. Okay, and it's showing what's been done. Originally there was just the Windows FAT32. Let's make it a bit wider too so we can see more information there. Yeah. Okay, the Windows NTFS partition, and what has been added is another FAT boot partition for Limine, and then an ext4 file system partition in which we've got EasyOS installed. Okay. Now, one thing that you might need to take care of, it depends on your computer, on how old it is. The Windows FAT partition has got two flags set, what's called a boot flag and an ESP flag. Same thing for this one. You might have to turn off the boot flag on those, and ESP flag on those two, so that when you boot up, it will the BIOS or the UEFI will automatically just see this one. Okay, they're little details. You'll soon find out. It's easy enough. Anyway, okay. So I don't want to sort of just throw too many little gotchas at you. In practice, you'll find it pretty easy. So we've done it. It's installed. If we have a look at this now, these partitions. So this is the FAT partition that we added, and it's got limine.conf, which is the configuration file for the Limine bootloader. And if we open that up, and you'll see it's got all the entries for the different operating systems that it has found, including right down the end as found Windows. So when you boot up, there will be a menu appearing on the screen offering all those choices, and the EasyOS installation will be the first one. Okay? And then looking at this one, this is where we've installed EasyOS. So we look in that folder, and you'll remember from earlier videos that EasyOS is 3 files: easy.sfs, initrd, and vmliners. We are now adding this extra one called EasyClone. So as I already said, when EasyOS starts up, it will recognise when the initrd is running, it will recognise that there's this new file here called EasyClone, and it will expand that and extract everything from it. So all the setup stuff will now be in your new installation, which is pretty handy. And that's all I need to say. It's pretty straightforward. It is a work in progress, I must emphasise. So when it comes out in the next release of EasyOS 7.4.5, it will still probably be a work in progress. So if you are not at all computer savvy, you might want to hold off. So people who don't mind perhaps experimenting, we've got quite a few guys who are willing to do that. And you never know. I mean, it might work fine, but we don't quite know that there might be a little bug in the program that might do something strange. So perhaps by version 7.4.6 or something, we might have discovered anything. It should be okay, but I want to be very, very cautious. I don't want to disclaim any liability as well, just in case it does something strange to your computer. I mean, it'll be horrifying if it erased your Windows drive or something. But anyway, hopefully it won't. But any of these graphical installers for Linux, you've got a little risk factor. In fact, it's good to have a computer nerd with you if you're completely unknowledgeable about these things. A computer nerd, like even your 10-year-old child, could probably help you if you're an elderly person. Anyway, I'll finish off. I won't ramble on. I hope you found this very interesting.